So, hello and welcome. Well, today we're going to continue our discussion on movement. I think I've changed the color again. So, movement. And specifically, I'm going to talk about muscles. And what I have here is a schematic diagram of a so-called joint. And later on I'm going to give you a more detailed diagram, or actually a photograph, but right now I just want to explain some basic principles. In the joint here, what you have is the muscles, they pull on bones. So what you have here is these are the bones. The bone up here, let's just say that's the humerus bone, that's the upper arm bone. And down here we have two bones, so-called the radius and ulna. So later on a little bit more. But what I want to do now is I want to move the radius and the ulna. And what you have here is you have muscles. They have to pull on the bones. And what you have here, these are the so-called tendons. And these tendons, they will essentially connect the muscle, which I have here. It's the muscle, to the bone. Okay, and this means that over here on the other side you have again a tendon which connects it again to the bone, and you have the same thing down here as well. So that's a tendon. Then you have a muscle. Okay, and then again you have a tendon that connects the muscle to the bone. So tendon and muscle, of course. And of course you also have here a tendon. Okay, and the tendon, they are quite inflexible, they cannot contract. The idea here of this diagram is that muscles can only pull, and therefore if you want to move now the radius back and forth, if you would like to move it upwards, then this muscle here, the top one, has to contract. And if you want to move the bone downwards, then the bottom one has to contract. Okay, and basically you have two muscles working against each other, and this has a term, it's referred to as an antagonistic pair. And because when one contracts, the other one relaxes, but muscles cannot push. And basically this is the most important concept here. And what happens here is that the muscle over the tendon is anchored to the bone. Okay, so that means if in the case of insects, for example, insects have an exoskeleton. I'm going to talk about this later. This is also where the muscle there has to be connected to the bone as well. Okay, so that is the basic principle. So antagonistic means they work against each other. Okay, and so there are basically two muscles involved here. So I move on now. I'll move on now, and we're now going to label the so-called the elbow joint. I will try to write a little bit more legibly, and you have to know the different parts of the elbow joint, of course. So the first of all, I have to give credit, otherwise people are going to complain. It's a public domain image. Never forget to give credit, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to label the different parts here. And just like before, we are going to add in the muscles and the tendons. So what I have here is at the front, I'm going to draw the tendon in here, okay? I'm just going to draw the muscle over here like this. And the muscle goes down here. So that's the muscle. So I'm going to label this as tendon. This here is the muscle. Okay, and you have something similar here on the bottom as well. You have a tendon connecting here, and then you have the muscle. Okay, same thing, tendon, and over here the muscle. Okay, so far nothing new. I'm now going to label the other bones here. That here is the radius, It's the name of the bone. This one over here is the ulna. And the upper arm bone here, that is the humerus. I should actually also label the name of the muscle here. This one here is the biceps. And down here, this is the triceps. These are simply the names of the muscles. So, but what I would like to do now is I would like to have a closer look at the actual joint itself. Okay, because there are a few things in here that we have to add here. Here, I'm going to add a line here, this line here, which covers this part here. This is cartilage. Okay, so I need to properly label this here as well. As a matter of fact, there are two cartilages here, and the other bone also has one. You have seen this already every time you eat a chicken. Okay, and you take apart the, so this one here as well. Okay, then you take apart the chicken. This is white stuff, you know. This when you actually take apart a chicken leg and then you break it apart, then you might be able to actually see this white stuff. That's cartilage. Cartilage, and it makes sure that there is, it reduces the friction. Okay, it's very smooth and tough, and the point is it reduces friction. Without the cartilage, the bones would actually rub against each other. That's something you don't want. This can be quite painful. So, and between the what you have between the cartilage here in this space, there's also something in here, and this space is called synovial fluid. It's a fluid in there. And this synovial fluid also reduces friction. Okay. The question is now is what kind of keeps the liquid in there? There's the danger that the liquid will run out, and in order to prevent this from happening, there is that's not so nicely drawn, but from the outside here, it's closed off. And this is a capsule that keeps the liquid in there. It's called the joint capsule. Again, here I'm a little bit out of space labeling. It's the joint capsule, and which keeps the liquid, the synovial fluid, inside the joint. And then another thing that we do not have here yet are the so-called the ligaments. And the ligaments, they cross-link those bones together, so that the bone stays in place. Yeah, so they go crisscross. Okay, and they cross-link the joint so that it stays together and it doesn't fall apart, so to say. Okay, so please know the different parts and also the ligaments which are not explicitly now drawn in here. Okay, so you also have to know the names of the bones, how they're called. Okay, so just remember this, and also remember that the purpose, or not the purpose, but one of the things that the joint has to take care of is that it reduces friction, and both the synovial fluid and the cartilage, they will reduce the friction. Okay, so this is basically the elbow joint, and you got to be able to do. I would say that maybe you want to copy this also into a nice notebook, of course. Okay, cartilage, synovial fluid, joint caps, ligaments. Okay, synovial. Yeah. So we're now going to have a look at the antagonistic muscles in insects. And this is supposed to be an insect leg, and an insect on the outside has a so-called an exoskeleton, to which the the muscles attach, but they also have antagonistic muscles. So that if you want to move this leg here, then you need also muscles, and I'm going to draw two of them here. Again, this is the tendon. Then you have the muscle here. Okay, so that's the muscle again, and then what you have is you have it connected on one side here, and the other muscle is connected to the exoskeleton over here. Okay, so again you have now here a tendon, and here that is the other muscle. Okay, I'm going to draw this in like this. Okay, so you see that it's connected on opposite ends. And this also, depending on which muscle contracts, this will also move the leg either in the one direction or into the other direction. Okay, so this is something that where there is a big similarity between the mammals and insects, in the sense that you also have antagonistic pairs. Of course, you also need some kind of a skeleton. In this case, it's an exoskeleton. We mammals have an endoskeleton, but that's basically the overall similarities and differences. Okay, so this basically completes the chapter on movement, and that's it for right now.